Welcome back, everybody, from the rest hold. It's time for us to start getting into our two main events for this evening. Superstar scores for Buff Bagwell and Shane McMahon. We're going to start off with Buff Bagwell here. If you don't know how Superstar scores works, it's pretty simple. We have a 0 to 100 ranking, and they're broken up into a bunch of different categories. Each one of those is 0 to 10. Add them all up at the end. 100's the goal that you're trying to get to and the end when it comes to that. So let's start going down the list here with Buff Bagwell. We obviously are talking about Buff Bagwell because we've been mentioning this for quite a while, and originally I kind of pitched the idea that we could do it around this time. So what the hell, why not? Our first grouping of two that we have are ring skills. They are athleticism and psychology. Athleticism is pretty simple. It's their moveset, their finishers, their wide variety of moves, whether or not they botch. Psychology is more about the story that they tell in the ring. If it's something that makes it believable, if they sell their injuries properly, do they get boring, or do they keep things interesting, that kind of stuff. I went with a 5 on both after watching a couple of matches of his. I didn't really see anything in either category that was like offensive or stood out in like a positive way. But I'm kind of assuming that my ranking when it comes to both Buff and Shane could be changing when it comes to this, depending on how you guys are, if you bring up anything that I forgot about or anything. So who knows what we're going to end up getting at the end, but who wants to go first when it comes to ring skills, Buff Bagwell?
Well, since everybody's eager, I'll jump right in. Athleticism, I'm going to give him a 4. I think he's a little below average, kind of clunky. So for the psychology, I give him a 2. Guy could not put a match together. Dumb as bricks.
That's very rude. I don't think Buff would appreciate that.
Buff doesn't appreciate a lot of things.
I'll go next. Listen, when it comes to Buff Bagwell, he's buff. But that doesn't mean he's a good workhorse in the ring. So for athleticism, I've given him a 4 just for the point that, the couple matches I watch, I don't know much about the big man himself, and nothing really stood out from when I was watching him. And then for psychology, I can't give you too much of an actual in-depth answer. My answers are pretty much based on what you guys come when it comes to the entering part of his work. But I'll be a little bit more lenient, and I'll give him a 4 for psychology as well. So 4's all around.
Aiden?
Oh, where'd I come from? Athleticism. I think you guys are being a little hard on Buff. He is the stuff. And when you bring the stuff to the ring, it allows you to do stuff. And, okay, so he's not going out there and doing crazy moonsaults and all types of nutso other things, but he was doing dives off the top rope. In fact, one of his signature moves was going off the top rope into that neck breaker. And that requires jumping off the top rope and having spot-on accuracy. And he pretty much nailed that move all the time I've seen him do it.
I'm pretty sure it says in the rules, though, if you can't do a moonsault, it's automatically below a 5.
Oh, I must have missed that. That's the Shawn Michaels rule. I'm giving him a 6, though. Nothing spectacular, but I do rate him just slightly above average. For psychology, I think he's just bland, middle of the road, so he has to get a 5 for that. He's never booked one where I'm oohing and eyeing out of my mind, but he's a fine guy to put out there for a mid-card match or fill in a spot for a team, which he did a lot for the NWO. So he was able to fill his role for those spots with that.
That takes us into mic skills, charisma and character. Charisma is their basic mic skills, whether or not they stutter, do they repeat things, do they keep things fresh, that kind of stuff. Character is more so their gimmick and whether or not they can pull off being both a heel or a babyface, or if they're just really, really strong in one and it makes up for it or anything like that. I give him a 6 on both because I watched a couple of his promos and I was pretty entertained by him overall. But it wasn't like he was, on the Rock level or anything. He did his job and kept my interest enough that I was okay with it. And as far as his character goes, he didn't really have a whole lot of versatility, so I can't give him much more than a 6, but you kind of dislike him the way that you're supposed to. He's just this jacked up douchebag, and he pulled it off, so I gotta give him a little bit higher than a 5 on that. So I'm gonna go in reverse order here. Peyton, what do you think about Mike's skills?
Mike was never the best place to put Buff. Okay, the best place to put Buff was in a gym or an opposing contest. He was not the best talker. He was fine, he was not the worst person there. I mean, you put him next to a guy like Hugh Morris at that time, who was absolutely unbearable, or some of the other real awful talents in WCW, like, I don't know, Lash LaRue. Hey, there's one. Superstar Scores Lash LaRue.
No way we're doing that. I ain't doing a fucking research.
Even I'm not pulling that one. I'm not rallying for that guy.
I'd sooner do Superstar Scores Glacier.
Oh, that actually might be cool. Anyway, charisma, I'm going to give him a middle of the road with a 5. Character, I'm going to dock him a little bit because, I don't know, there was just never much substance to what he had there. It was the basis for a good character, but he never evolved with it other than getting a hat. So I'm going to give him a 3.
Pretty sweet hat, though.
It was a pretty sweet hat.
At least back in the time. Nowadays, it's really fucking ridiculous. I had one of them for like a week, and I was just like, I'm never wearing this fucking thing.
Isn't it weird, like, some shit that we thought was cool back then, and then we look at it now, and it's like, no.
Like Pogs. Just sort of like, oh man, can't wait to collect all these Pogs that are just going to get thrown away.
I want to know how much money my mom pissed away on buying trading cards of shit.
Oh god, all the Pokemon trading cards and stuff. Jesus. Drew, what do you think about Mike's skills? What do you got?
Listen, when Buff was on the mic, he had the stuff. He wasn't going out there cutting promos like he's Hulkamania or if he was The Rock. But guess what? He held his own. In an era of where stars were everywhere, he did aight. So I'm going to give him a 6 for his charisma. And now when it comes to his character, yeah, he had a hat. But he had the stuff to go with the hat. And who could forget? Totally buffed. That kick-ass thing that I've never seen. So I'm going to give him a 7 for character.
I think that if he's got all the stuff, he should partner up with Dean Malenko for his yard sale. Waco, what do you think about Mike's skills?
Alright, so charisma, I'm going to give him a 6. He didn't fall flat on the microphone. He just wasn't anything better than good. For character, he had a hat. Pretty sweet hat. And I'm all about free hat. 6.
I'm glad I brought the hat. Seems to be getting him some bonuses.
Appearance, that is physique and entrance. Entrance is pretty simple. Their music, their pyro, whatever they do during their entrance. And physique, don't really have to explain that much, do I? Just what they look like. So, I gave him a 3 for an entrance because his theme song was shit. Just absolute shit. And he did have some pyro, and he did do his posing, but really wasn't all that interesting in the grand scheme of things. And the best one that I came across was his WWF entrance. That one time, he kind of did like this little dance at the beginning of it, but that still wasn't fucking great.
I talk about that dance where he windmills his arms.
Yeah, that it's like
He does it all the time.
he did it all the time.
Yeah, he did that all the time. That was like his signature. In fact, if you played WCW NWO Revenge and you pushed up on the stick, that was the taunt he did.
Nice. Physique, though, here's where he gets the highest score I gave him out of anything. And I might actually even bump him up a little bit on this. I don't know. I give him an 8. He's named Buff for a reason. That's the best thing that he had going for him. So, Wago, what do you think about physique and entrance?
Well, physique. Buff had the stuff. And I was tempted to give him a higher score, and Payton might be able to make me change mine. But I'm going to give him an 8. What was the other one? Entrance. Yeah, his entrance was lame before.
Drew?
When it comes to Buff Bagwell, he indeed did have the stuff. And by God, did he look amazing when he was strutting that stuff. A 10 for physique for being such a badass. And now, when it comes to just the overall, himself, his entrance, one of the most amazing, important things about being a WWE, or at the time, WCW superstar, Buff Bagwell, he had an okay theme. The music was cool. Pyro was amazing, of course, so I have to give him a 9 for entrance, just for the pyro alone.
Holy shit. A 9 for fucking entrance?
Yo, Undertaker's 10, right below him.
Buff Bagwell.
Do you want to change that score, Drew?
No, because I'm not a fucking pussy-ass bitch.
All right, so remember that, people, when you're voting host of the year. Don't worry, Drew will just sabotage the votes anyway.
Peyton, your thoughts on appearance?
Well, Physique, you guys, I think, gave him the right number. I don't know why you were expecting me to pull this one to go any higher. He's an 8. I mean, he's got a fantastically sculpted set of muscles on him, but he's also kind of short.
That's one of the main reasons I docked him a point.
Yeah, you could tell he's got like Napoleon syndrome. So like that's definitely a part of him. So that docks him a bit. And even like he's like ripped, but still when you compare him to like an Ultimate Warrior or a barbarian, not a barbarian, what was it? The warlord. They were a little bit bigger. So I can't give him all the way up to a 10 or even a 9, but 8 still pretty damn good. Nothing to shake a stick at. Entrance, I'm going to give him a 3. He had a typical WCW entrance. He came out, he posed with some sparklers going off, and then he talked to the camera while he was coming to the ring. Seriously, if you watched WCW during that time, everybody talked to the fucking camera.
That's one of the things that drove me nuts about this. When I was looking at a bunch of his entrances, it was just kind of like, holy shit, does he do fucking anything? And then I'm like, wait, nobody does any fucking thing.
Yeah, everyone just talks to the fucking camera. As far as his music, though, I think you guys are forgetting something very important. And he's gone on record of saying that this song with no lyrics is perhaps the greatest song of all time, but with lyrics, it's awful. And that is the American Males entrance theme music.
That is true. I forgot about that. American Males. Yeah, I still want to give him a 3.
Yeah, I know. I gave him a 3 as well. I don't know if I actually said my number, but that's a 3 for entrance.
That takes us into behavior. I'm retooling that from the last time that we did that because it was a little bit hard to explain the past couple of times. So this is a little bit easier now. It's the behavior section, which is backstage professionalism and public relations. So backstage professionalism is the locker room antics that they get into, or if they don't, hopefully. The politics of behind the scenes things. Do they put other people over? Do they screw people over? In that kind of regard. The public relations is whether or not they would be somebody who benefits the company. Like they do charities and talk shows, and they're really like a John Cena type, where they have a squeaky clean kind of image. Or, on the negative side of things, they are bad PR. They've got some kind of an image problem. They get arrested. Like Sonny's got the DUIs and stuff like that. Those are the kind of problems that you would come across. So there's 2 different spectrums when it comes to that. I give a 3 on both, and I really don't know if I'm going to dock them even more, because when I was looking into this, I didn't know all that much to begin with, but I came across that he apparently got into a fight with Hurricane Helms and lost the fight too, so it's like he didn't even win it.
Yeah, that's like the Sheamus level losing to Yoshitatsu and Sin Cara. It's like, which cruiserweight's going to kick Sheamus' ass this week?
And he apparently had a reputation for being a pain in the ass. And Wago, you mentioned something when we were talking about this a little bit before, that he had his mom call in to quit or something. So
there's this whole beef with Jim Ross or Buff Bagwell, and that's wrong. Buff Bagwell has a beef with Jim Ross. Buff hadn't turned up for work a couple times, and the one time his mom called in sick for him instead of just being upfront about it, and he was basically just trying to take time off. He'd had shitty performances already, and Jim Ross was told to let him know that he's released. And Buff fucking went out and shot really hard on him and talked up a whole bunch of shit. Guy's a prick.
Huh. So it seems like 3 to me is the highest I would ever go. I don't know if I'm going to end up going a little bit lower on that. Public relations wise, I gave him a 3 for that because just a quick Google search. I mean, you come across
Gigolo,
reckless driving, drugs, prostitution. It's like, all right, shit, dude. Like, there's really 3's being, like kind to it because he doesn't do anything to balance it out either. It's not like, well, he did all that, but he also is a Make-A-Wish dude or something. So, I don't know. These 3s might be going down for me. Peyton, what do you got when it comes to behavior?
I think you're being very generous, Tony.
Yeah,
I probably am.
I've really got nasty with this one.
Yeah, professionalism, I gave him a 2. And the only reason I even gave him a 2 is because there's a loyalty factor to him. And maybe it wasn't to WWE, but to WCW, he was a strong company guy.
He defended anything they did while he was with them. He loved working for them. It didn't matter what they were doing. He never complained about his spot. He never went out talking bad about them, about how Hulk Hogan or anybody's holding him back. He just went out there and did his damn job. So he'll get a 2 at least for that. But oh boy, PR. I don't know if we've ever actually given this. Well, no, if we've ever actually given a 0.
I don't think I've ever given a 0 for anything.
I've never given a 0, and I can't give him a 0 either, because if you're going to PR, a 0...
Have we ever done this? Well, it ain't gonna be tonight.
No. Well, yeah, I was just curious if we ever have, because I was like, I almost went with a 0, but then I have to think a 0 would be like a Chris Benoit.
Yeah, Benoit is clearly an absolute 0, maybe even a negative.
So if that's a 0, I can't put him there. I don't even know if I want to put him at a 1. He might even have to go to a 2, because a 1 might be like a Sonny or a Jeff Hardy or a China. But I'm gonna keep him at a 1 for now.
So he gets a 2 and a 1?
Yes.
Drew, what do you got?
Oh, well, see, for professionalism, Buff's not the brightest guy around, okay? And listen, he wouldn't have been able to talk to WWE to let him know the exact situation. His mom always called for him. I don't see what the big deal with that is, okay? He has a mentality of a 4-year-old. What do you expect? So for professionalism, I'm going to give him a 2. Even though I just offended him for no fucking reason. And listen, for public relations, back in WCW in 1997, the prostitutions, the drugs, that was the whole New World Order look. Too bad all that happened when he wasn't in the New World Order. So I'm going to give him a 2 for that as well.
Might have happened while he was in the New World Order. You don't know.
We don't know. We're not supposed to know.
Wago?
Yeah, I gave him 1 and 1.
Okay.
Guy's a fuck up. It's like, I don't know what else to say. Like, it's all been said. He's a fuck up.
I'm going to definitely move mine down to 2 different 2s instead of 2 3s. And our last set of 2 different categories are crowd reaction, popularity, and credibility. Popularity is pretty self-explanatory, and credibility is more so the kayfabe side of things. Is it somebody who could, potentially win a world title and you wouldn't really blink an eye, or is it something where he's a total jobber or whatever? This one I'm really flexible about, so I'm curious what you guys did. Give him a 5 for popularity and a 3 for credibility, because it didn't seem like he really hit it off all that much for the most part. He was never like super duper popular from what I can remember. And credibility, he was the fall guy. And I, double checked about some of his wins, and they're kind of all shady, and he only had the tag titles in WCW, so it's, when you're kind of more of a stooge than anything, you're not somebody who's going to be like some, Hulk Hogan type or anything. So my 5 and my 3 could be going down. I don't know. Maybe even up. But, Wago, what do you got for crowd reaction?
So popularity, I gave him a 5, and he was, got somewhat of a reaction in WCW, but, when wrestling fans today look back on him, nah. And that's how you know how your popularity is, when people look back on you. As far as credibility goes, I was a little higher than you. I gave him a 5. I mean, at the end of the day, held tag gold. He was a champion.
Fair enough. Drew?
Let's see, for the popularity, you have to remember, just imagine Tony Schiavone just going, "Can you hear this crowd for Buff Bagwell?" And no one was there to cheer. So for popularity,
my God, Mickey the Mouse is coming.
Yeah, I was going to say, what the fuck was Minnie Mouse doing on commentary?
Anyway, so for popularity, as much as I love the Buff guy himself, I have to give him a 4. And listen, for credibility, if you're a 6-time tag team champion, you're a 6-time tag team champion. He gets a 6 from me from that.
Damn. Payton, round us out. What do you got?
Popularity, I gave him a 4. I don't know if I could go even to the middle ground, but you got to give him something, because this is a guy who was a recognizable player during the hottest period in wrestling, during the #1 company at the point he was there. So you got to at least give him credit for that. And I think he's a guy that most people who are wrestling fans from then could go to any indie show and be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I remember this guy. All right, cool. He's going to flex his muscles again. Neat. All right, I can dig it." So I'll give him a 4. Credibility,
I can't put him too high for that either. Yeah, he got tag titles, but I mean, it was WCW tag titles when they didn't mean shit. So I give him a 3 for that. He never really found good singles success. He's that guy that was reliable, but then when it came to the big moments, just was never able to deliver. I think they tried giving him a main event run in WCW in like 2000 when they were getting really desperate with people, and it completely flopped. Obviously, a lot of people blame him for that whole WCW never coming together when they were supposed to like split the brands into WWF and WCW. So he's not someone you can look at as a very, very like favorable person. As Wago said, history has not been kind to the way people look back on Buff Bagwell.
You know what? You've convinced me his credibility is dropping to a 4.
You have not convinced me.
He's going
still
up to
a
an 8.
6.
He's going for over 9,000.
So right now, my final score is a 45, which is the lowest score I've given anybody so far, out of including the Shane McMahon one that we're going to do next. That'll be 16 editions of Superstar Scores, and he's the lowest.
Jesus.
Whew.
Yeah.
Jeez, I can't believe we've done 16 already.
Oh,
Oh.
technically we've done 15. We'll do
Yours was-
16 in a few
yours was
minutes.
fine.
Oh,
Yours
I
was
see what you
kinder than
did.
mine.
Wago, what do you got?
41.
Woo!
Drew?
Listen, when it comes to the buff man himself,
The
the
buff
buff
man.
average
You want a
guy.
fucking, like, nickname basis?
listen, me and Buff Bagwell, we go way back.
Well, you
Okay.
want Drew McBig Balls.
Some of those drugs and prostitutes I was not there for, but I was there to for him when he told me about
Probably one of his illegitimate kids.
it. So, the buff man got a 54 for me. Slightly above average, slightly above Steve Blackman.
Fuck you.
Wow. No way. No fucking way.
What do you got, Peyton?
I can't believe this. I have the lowest score of anybody here. I have a 40.
And, he was
And
one
I
of the
think
first
that's a
to say-
perfectly fair score for Buff Bagwell. A lot of these people we did, as Tony will say, the not serious joke ones, have actually ended up being ones that we ended up finding a lot of things about them that we liked that maybe a lot of people didn't notice, and we got to have good discussions about them with Bob Holly and Steve Blackman. Not with Buff Bagwell. This guy was a fucking joke. Even when I was little and I didn't even understand the inner workings of wrestling and I was just watching it, I looked at that guy as something not serious and that I was going to enjoy. So, Buff Bagwell, glad we got it done. Glad to have a new rock bottom on my list.
You know what?
Go on,
I
Drew.
have changed my score. I'm going to go with a 45 now.
Jesus Christ, Drew.
Did you completely switch it
He's just going to change his overall score.
from a 54 to a 45?
Yeah. Fuck with me.
Well, originally when you had it at a 54, our average was a 45, but that lowers it to a 42 now.
Which is a lot more accurate.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry,
Buff, man, you don't got the stuff.
Listen, I love Buff Bagwell. Listen, me and him, we go way back. But at the same time, he had the stuff,
Shut the
but he
fuck
got into
up.
the wrong stuff.
Jesus
sometimes.
Christ, thank you, Wago. Fucking shit.
Headed loser.
So we have another one that we're going to do in the next part, which is going to be Shane McMahon. Same rules as before. So if you want to click on that one, go ahead and do that in part 5, and then you'll find out what we got for Shane McMahon.